Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather. So let's see what's happening. So we have two enhanced risks now, a few spots of Nebraska into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northeastern Colorado. We have this bigger slight risk from Montana all the way to Kansas and all the way north to Minnesota again, and this marginal risk across. So be careful in those areas, especially the enhanced risk in those areas. So today the tornado threat is 5% in spots in Minnesota into Wisconsin. So be careful in those areas, especially like uh, those central areas, southern Minnesota and to western Wisconsin. But the 2% goes all the way to Montana. So be careful in all of those areas. Stay tuned to the watches and warnings. So there's the wind shows 30% across Nebraska and hatched across northern Colorado too. So be careful, some damaging wind gusts, potentially some hurricane force winds in the hatched area. And there's hail too, hatched all the way from Montana to Minnesota. So in all those areas across northern Nebraska and two spots Wyoming, northwestern Iowa, and more spots in South Dakota. Be careful, some very large hail, like 2 inch plus, especially in Minnesota with those stronger storms. So stay safe in those areas and be careful. There's like, yeah. So here, the show scared severe thunderstorms capable producing severe damaging gusts, large, very large hail, and a few tornadoes are forecast today across parts of the northern central plains to the upper Mississippi Valley. So stay safe in those areas and does show here like those areas of 2+ inches possible in the hail, but there's also sufficient low level shear is forecast with the MCV to support a threat for a few tornadoes, especially along effective warm front that should be trapped journey west to east across central northern Minnesota. So be careful in those areas. And by the evening, some upscale growth or clustering may occur, increased risk of damaging wind gusts into Minnesota and western Wisconsin vicinity. Convection should eventually weaken eastward extend across upper Mississippi Valley tonight as it moves into a less unstable air mass. So be careful in those areas and stay safe. Especially, yeah, so stay safe. Let's just see the northern plains very fast. So modest post-frontal low-level on-slope flow occur today across parts of the northern Rockies into the high plains, and convective initiation initially occur along near the higher terrains of southern Montana and northern eastern Wyoming by the mid to late afternoon. So here, where do you go? Here, so a subtle mid-level shortwave trough embedded within the otherwise modest and hence southwestern flow should aid this thunderstorm development. Steep, low to mid-level lapse rates are expected across to being placed across this region with daytime heating contributing to moderate instability. Strong deep layer shear 40 to 50 knots is expected with elongated near straight holographs in the mid to upper levels, supporting ample shears isolated to wide scaled supercells like to pose a threat for large, very large hail. They develops east southeastward over the northern high plains this afternoon and evening. If a cluster or two can develop this evening, then the severe threat for severe wind gusts will be possible given the steep and low level lapse rates, well mixed boundary layer. So be careful those areas, and also robust thunderstorms probably formed this afternoon near convective rainforest front that should be drifted generally northeast to southwestern near over Nebraska and separately across higher terrain eastern Wyoming, Colorado. Strong to locally extreme stability is likely to develop along south of this boundary with strong diurnal heat and moist low-level air mass proceeds steep and mid-level lapse rate. Significant deep layer shear should also exist to support some updraft organization for mix of supercells, multi-cell clusters possible. So initial development should pose threat for large, very large hail, multiple opportunities for clustering swept, damaging winds. Isolated 75-mile plus possible central western Nebraska remain apparent both convection with the convection that develops along surface boundary in Nebraska, and thunderstorms spreading east, southeast from the northern central high plains. A small southward expansion of the enhanced trees has been based on the latest guidance trends, but confidence remains low on exactly how convective clusters will evolve this afternoon and evening. So just a recap there, but be careful in those areas. And this is just one update. This will still update many times throughout this afternoon and evening. So check the links in the description to stay tuned to the updates. So there's here like shows those storms. Already shows a few showers in North Dakota and Minnesota in those areas, a few storms in the mid-south, but layers, it's when this actually picks up a lot. So shows like north here, shows this starts in Minnesota, those areas like by the afternoon, especially later shows some strong cells, a few spots there in Minnesota, into Iowa, finger two as well, but especially later, in the late afternoon towards the evening, a few spots central to eastern Minnesota. So stay safe. This goes like shows to Wisconsin later, more spots along southern Minnesota. There's the slightly higher tornado chance there as well. So be careful those areas. This goes and shows more some heavy rain into Ontario later in the evening to the night. Some stronger storms there too. So be aware those areas. Now Montana shows some storms starting Wyoming into Nebraska. So shows northern Nebraska some stronger storms already by the mid-afternoon, especially later those storms join with the ones from Wyoming into northeastern Colorado, show strong ones in northeastern Colorado into eastern Wyoming and Nebraska. So be careful central Nebraska, more spots in Wyoming and Colorado, especially those swaths of the damaging winds. During the late evening shows a big cluster of storms possible in Nebraska, so this goes and still into Iowa and Kansas later, some more storms. And tomorrow is already looking kind of concerning. Shows spots of Nebraska right by the afternoon, some stronger storms, but this doesn't go far out enough, so we'll keep watching. So be aware in those areas. And yeah, there's like the whole region here shows those storms initiating there in Montana. As you can see, they go southern Montana, those stronger cells, damaging winds and hail. And still shows scattered storms central eastern US, a few spots tomorrow, but probably not severe, except for a finger or two. So be aware those areas, especially there in the plains. So shows Cape here is spots of Nebraska today and into Minnesota. The show spots of southern Minnesota into northern Iowa, close to like 4,000 joules per kilogram in a few spots there. So please stay safe in those areas. Central Nebraska more than 3,500, locally to 4,000 in some spots there. So stay safe. Nebraska, some more Wyoming as well, earlier in the afternoon, more than 1 to 2,000 joules per kilogram Montana. So be careful, more spots in the Midwest. So this goes and it builds again tomorrow afternoon towards Kansas. And this will now show all the way to 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram near southern Kansas tomorrow. And that's also where we have an enhanced risk tomorrow. So better watch it very closely, like we have this enhanced risk central Kansas and some spots southern Kansas. And goes all the way to Kansas City for Tuesday, June 17th. So please be careful in those areas. There's the margin risk kind of shaped like a heart, and there's the slight risk from Wyoming to Iowa. So be careful and also marginal on the East Coast. So tornado threat is already 5% in Kansas tomorrow, so we better watch this very closely. So be aware in those areas and the 2% from Colorado to Iowa. So there's wind as well, the 30%, the enhanced risk, and 5 and 15 and 5% in all the other areas. And hail also 30% hatched array, especially central Kansas, some 2-inch plus hail possible. So stay safe Tuesday, warn others, and have like some ways to receive alerts and stay safe. Severe thunderstorms with large hail and wind damage, possible few tornadoes are expected Tuesday across parts of Central Plains to lower mid-Missouri Valley. Outside this area, marginal severe storms will possible across parts of Central U.S. Storms with isolated severe winds may develop parts of Central Appalachians, Mid-Atlantic, so stay safe in those areas there. So, and does show here, in addition, a 40 to 50 knot low level jet forecast across much of central, south central Kansas, which will create favorable low level shear for a tornado threat there. It appears a few tornadoes will be possible, more dominant supercells, and supercells and short, intense line segments also capable of wind damage. The threat should persist into the mid-late evening as a large cluster of storms moves eastward across central eastern Kansas through lower mid-Missouri Valley. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful in central high plains, mainly damaging wind and hail, but you never know. And central Appalachians, some damaging winds. So stay safe in those areas for Tuesday. There's Wednesday already a slight risk from northernmost Texas to central Michigan, so be careful Wednesday in those areas too. Especially there in the slight risk in the marginal goes all the way from southern Texas to Canada. So there's the probability of 5-15%. Does show scare thunderstorms, severe wind gusts and hail expected Wednesday from the southern plains into the Great Lakes. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful too. So the show here, it might be more favorable. Storm mode like favors multi-cell lines or clusters with wind damage potential, and the severe threats expected to continue into the evening, and overall moving southeastward. So be aware to those areas and stay safe. And as we get closer to Wednesday, we'll have more information too. But these links in the description you can check as well. There's like day 4 is still a slight risk across the Mid-Atlantic and like North Carolina to New York, mainly to like northern New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So be careful in those areas for Thursday too. I think it's Thursday, yeah. So day 5, day 6 to day 8, still nothing. But be aware, mid-level troughs forecast move to the northeast on Thursday. Cold front advances eastward into central Appalachians ahead of front. Moist air mass will be in place. Moderate instability is expected to develop ahead of the front. And across the Carolinas, Mid-Atlantic, as surface temperatures warm during the day, scarce convective initiation likely to take place along and have the front. Moderate deep layer shear and steep low level lapse rates support severe threat during the afternoon, primary threat being damaging wind gusts. So be aware those areas. And Friday, this is important as well, not because of the storms, but because of the heat wave. So this mid-level ridge is slightly moving eastward, those major heat risk later this week on the east coast. So be aware those areas. There's also the fire danger here across the southwest, especially Nevada into Arizona and Utah. So be careful, some critical fire danger possible, and also some elevated there, not Western Oregon, more spotted in the southwest. So be aware. Day 2 is still critical across New Mexico and Arizona, so be careful, especially those hot temperatures and some wind might cause fires to spread quickly, so be careful those areas. And later, still critical for day 3, and yeah, especially like day 3 in Arizona, spots of New Mexico, and does show here like still some minor probabilities later, 40%, and so there's like dry thunderstorms, low relative humidity and wind. So like for day 3, for example, 70% chance of low relative humidity, wind or dry thunderstorms. Day 4, Western Oregon, some 4%. So be aware of those conditions as well. So here does show like There's the updraft holistic from the her. So the show, and I don't know why this doesn't zoom out more, but here shows across this evening in Minnesota and to Wisconsin, those areas, some stronger storms, those tracks, especially this indicates large hail spots of northeastern Colorado into Nebraska. So stay safe in those areas, some in Montana, Wyoming too, especially in Nebraska, Colorado, and Wisconsin, Minnesota. So stay safe. Those areas, there's a significant tornado parameter. Does show like in the evening 1Z. This does climb a lot across Wisconsin and Minnesota. The parameter close to like 3 to 4 in some areas. So be careful. Those areas, not northern Iowa, should increase some as well. There's later about 3C during the night does decrease later during the night, but 22C in the afternoon it's starting to grow there. So stay safe in the evening in those areas. And 0C already shows more elevated, so warn others. And yeah, so stay safe. And be careful. The show slightly higher the storm relatively in some spots of Minnesota into Wisconsin too, and also into northern Iowa. So be aware, especially later by Tuesday, it picks up in Wisconsin and into Iowa. So stay safe. A few isolated spots there in Nebraska too. The chance for some rotating updrafts and supercells. So stay safe and warn others in those areas. In Canada, does show for day two, which is today, across Alberta still the chance for some stronger storms, some damaging winds, and some hail too. So be careful in those areas. And also here in the general storm shows some possible heavy rain, 36 to 50 millimeters, some strong winds and some hail too. So stay safe in those areas. There's Ontario, some stronger storms, southwest Ontario too. Day two, similar thing, but day three, it might pick up more for Wednesday. They still don't have anything crazy, but I think like Wednesday to Thursday, this might turn yellow or even orange. So be aware those areas. There's here like for excessive rainfall for Monday today does show from North Carolina to Ohio, spots of West Virginia, Pennsylvania. Be careful, some heavy rain. And also spots of Missouri towards the Midwest, southern Texas, few spots in the plains. And still for Tuesday, a slight risk in the Midwest, those storms, and still near the Appalachians. So stay safe, some heavy rain. Day three, further the Midwest. Day four, like Northeast and extreme southern Texas. And day five, extreme southern Texas and spots of the northern plains and upper Midwest. So be careful in those areas. And this marginally extreme southern Texas indicates another dangerous thing that will happen in Mexico, the tropical storm to hit Mexico, or even a hurricane later this week. So we will make a video just for that today or tomorrow. So if you are down in the Caribbean or in Mexico, stay tuned for that because it will be very important. So here does show like precipitation day 1 through 7 still, spots to 3 inches, a couple spots close to 4, but mainly some 2 to 3 inches spots there. Even in Alberta, Canada is showing close to like some 80 to 90 millimeters next 7 days. So be aware of the storms there. More spots in the south, a few spots slightly higher, and you can see there in Mexico more than 7 inches. So be aware those areas, and southernmost Texas close to 2 to 3 inches possible. So stay safe. There's the heat risk now. So does show those areas into New Mexico and Arizona. Still some major to extreme in a few spots, especially central southern New Mexico, southern Arizona, those areas. So stay safe. That heat risk and spots in Arizona to California, some major as well. And then in the plains, some moderate, and then this upper ridge will start moving further east with some more major heat risk into Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, starting the southeast more like Wednesday on the East Coast, more major heat risk across the East Coast. And this doesn't mean the temperatures will be as high there as they will be in Texas, but it does mean that those areas will experience above normal temperatures for their standards, and it might be dangerous for sensitive people. So be aware, those areas. Thursday still shows more major along the southeast and east coast and interior parts of the west. Friday might climb in the plains, more major heat risk there. In the southeast, Saturday, this enormous area of major heat risk to watch. And Sunday's looking like the first big heat wave of 2025 for the Midwest. Alright, some extreme heat risk in Illinois, Missouri, as those higher pressures go further north and east. So we'll keep watching, but just be aware that Sunday is nearly a week away from now. So this will change 1,000 times. So be aware, and does show those extreme heat warnings in California and Arizona still today in those areas. Heat advisories, New Mexico to Texas, and even Alaska, and shows more spots, some flood watches there in the east, more areas. So be aware. Here, the heat does show today there spots of New Mexico into Arizona and California, nearly to 115 degrees in California, still 112 in Arizona. So please be careful. Just slightly closer here shows those areas like 112, 115, 214, especially some valleys there, some hundreds near the mountain, near the valleys in Utah, near to 110 near Las Vegas, spots of Nevada. So stay safe in those areas too. And back here again shows New Mexico and Texas more than 100, even to 104. So be aware those areas there's during the night shows slightly less, especially in Oregon, close to some high 30s Fahrenheit and the Sierra Nevada into the Rockies, but still hot in the south. And does show Tuesday during the day to 110, the southwest again, 109, more spots there to 104, even to 110 New Mexico. Texas might be close to 110 as well, and 102 in the Panhandle. So stay safe in some 90s there on the East Coast, kick-starting their heat risk. So the show's still cold in the Rockies during the night, Wednesday, but very warmish to hot in the south. So be careful during the night if it remains too warm. It can be dangerous for the health, and is included in the heat risk as well. So the dust shows still to 110, 111, like 115 plus in that valley by Wednesday. And dust show Wednesday some 95, 90s on the East Coast. So be careful those areas. Dust shows some is still by like during the night on Thursday mornings, some 70s, it's slightly colder in the Rockies. During the day Thursday, still possible to 114 in Arizona, even maybe some peaks to 115, some spots 111, Nevada, more spots in the valleys in Utah and California, and some 90s in the plains, more spots there. So be aware those areas. Does show at Thursday here like to 114 in Arizona, might be even higher in some spots. So please stay safe in those areas. Warn others. There's like Friday morning shows slightly colder there in Oregon, spots in the Cascades, and Friday afternoon nearly to 107 in Kansas as that heat dome builds with some hundreds there, 98 in Nebraska, and even more in Nebraska, some 90s across the east southeast, and to 112 in Arizona, California still. So be careful. This below average temperature still on the northwest. By Saturday, some 30s in Oregon, more spots slightly colder. Still shows by Saturday afternoon 106 in Kansas, into Nebraska and Colorado. So stay safe. 90 is a big portion of the US, some 100s in the south. And does show day 6 during the night. This big contrast here, like this area very hot, this area kind of cold. So there's a very big contrast does show some 30s in the mountains, maybe even the higher peaks to high 20s. So be aware there in the mountains. But Sunday afternoon, it's about to get very hot. Shows a few spots to 90s in Colorado still, some hundreds in the southwest, and 90s spread across most of the Midwest, in the southeast, but still below average in the northwest. So be careful in those areas. And still for today, June 16th, those winds slightly breezier spots of the west and a few spots in the Rockies too. And this is just the wind gust itself, it's not the severe weather. If there was a map for the winds for the severe weather, it would show way, way stronger here. So yeah, stay safe in those areas. And I think the her has one like max wind gusts, and it does show across Nebraska, especially the her has some very damaging winds there in Nebraska, a few spots in Wyoming, there into Minnesota as well. But the her especially like some 70 to 85 mile per gust spots of Nebraska, or even higher in a few spots. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. So shows still here those storms in Canada, shows in Alberta a few storms there, even a slight chance of thunderstorms in Alaska and Yukon. So that's kind of new. And does show spots like Tuesday, central Canada, and especially in Ontario, that the European has more storms there, and a few spots of snow northern Quebec. So this goes some freezing rain northern Quebec as well. Probably Wednesday the 18th, more rain towards eastern Canada, and some storms, especially Thursday, some stronger storms into Ontario Wednesday evening to Thursday. And so be careful. Thursday afternoon to Friday still looks kind of concerning in spots of Quebec into eastern Canada. And does show some weird snow behind it as well. Saturday and by Saturday the 21st, some more storms in the Great Lakes and maybe spots of Western Canada into Sunday and next week. So we'll keep watching, but this changes a lot. Just keep in mind for Canada too, some hail damaging winds in a few spots. And sometimes funnel clouds like we had in Saskatchewan a few days ago. But the current hazards map there doesn't indicate this today. But for Thursday and like Wednesday, we might need to watch more. So be aware in those areas. Those temperatures in Canada are not too extreme, but still slightly colder northeastern portions and like slightly hotter in the south. But that shows still colder spots of northern Quebec, northern Labrador, the Rockies in the west, and shows like still like southern, southeastern Canada, some 20s, even close to 29 degrees in a few spots. Some of the major cities there to 29, 28. So it is quite pleasant weather for you, considering it was cold for a long time. But still be careful with the sudden heat. And shows like this front, Wednesday slightly colder above and warmer below. This goes, the show still colder further north, like Thursday, Thursday morning, a few spots northernmost Canada as well, into northwest territories, Nunavut. Thursday still shows slightly warmer in the southern prairies by Friday, and still those below average temperatures further north there is Saturday, and then this goes and still hot further in the southern tips of Canada, but like you saw before, those below average temperature spots of western Canada, the northwestern US, slightly colder there in the mountains, so be aware. And does show in Alaska today in those valleys there, close to like some, even to some 84 degrees Fahrenheit in some spots. So it's actually pretty warm, some 82 in Fairbanks. So it's pretty warm there too. They have that heat advisor. So be careful to those areas. Does show the rain accumulation here, especially like spots in eastern Canada by Thursday and Friday. The Europeans is even to like 165 millimeters, 137. So some very decent rainfall might cause some slight flooding threat those areas. So be careful there, especially Thursday into Friday. And a few other storms might have slightly heavier rain in a few spots, more rain in British Columbia too. So stay safe in those areas. Does show here for some spots snow, so here especially northern Quebec, so still shows some snow in northern Quebec into Labrador, especially even to 31 centimeters. Does show this snow unusually further south in Quebec and into Labrador, possible by Friday and Saturday. So be aware, but especially Nunavut, slightly heavier snow. So be aware, a few spots northern Nunavut and the Rockies along the west coast, a few spots. So be careful in those areas. Does show those wind gusts slightly higher today, northern Labrador, a few spots in Nunavut into Quebec, especially be careful that snow in Nunavut plus strong wind that might be dangerous. And in Ontario, with those storms, stronger winds into Atlantic Canada possibly by Wednesday. And then, as you can see in this image as well, this will be Thursday afternoon. The tropical storm is starting to hit Mexico. So be careful Thursday. This goes possibly into the northeastern US, spots of Canada. Thursday, some strong gusts with that storm system, maybe spots of the west as well. So this goes. The European still has stronger gusts, central western US on the 21st, 20th, 21st, potentially further into Canada by the 23rd. So that's a pretty big system in terms of wind. We'll have to keep watching and more spots in Atlantic Canada, but that's far out still. So we will keep watching those areas and be careful and stay tuned for the tropics update as well. So yeah, stay safe.